Good morning, everybody. Shift your mindset here with a new episode. What to do if there are children in play. I have some friends who don't go to the meetings anymore, are FOMO, as you know, the word is, or whatever. They're not going anyone more to the meetings. A lot of people are in this situation, so that's why I'm making this video. When there are children in play, one parent, Jehovah Witness, likely very devoted, the other one is not complying anymore. Maybe she or he stopped, maybe she has doubts, or they left the organization, but you have little children in play. That's where it becomes tough. I'm happy that I don't have children, because then it would be a drama also. But there are a lot of people who are in this situation. So I find it important to make a video about this topic, what we can do about it, how to view it, do you have to be scared or not, whatever, all those feelings. So sit tight and let's go, because there are a lot of people who have children, raising children, and have different beliefs. We all know the Jehovah Witnesses rally the troops. It's not about the one parent who's a devoted Jehovah Witness, but it's a whole congregation around it. And as we know, they don't want the children to celebrate birthdays. They take them to the Kingdom Hall, even if you have protested against it. They don't care. If you take that child to the church, you're gonna have a problem with the Jehovah Witnesses. But it is okay for them to pick up your child and go to the meetings. I even heard stories about parents who are not going to the meetings anymore, and then their parents, when they are babysitting the children, feed them with the videos of JW Broadcasting about Sophie, about everything, while they explicitly forbid them to show them to the children. Even then, they are not listening to your wishes, to the way you want to raise children. They just shove it aside and they do what they want. So, your child gets indoctrinated from a young age. And that's a problem. So you may be scared, you may be angry, all those feelings, that's okay. But have faith in your child. Because it's hard when a parent come pick up the child, take it to the congregation, put them behind the tablet, shows them all those children videos who are full of indoctrination about Jehovah, what he wants from you, that you have to be loyal, that you have to be scared for Armageddon. We all know those horrible stories, that yellow book that we had as children, my book with Bible stories, whatever. And it's full of pictures with Armageddon, destroying things, you name it. So from a very early age on, it's fear-based indoctrination. And it's walking on eggshells if you are in this situation that the children are involved. So it's hard. So what can you do? Because you have different opinions about holidays, about celebrations, about birthdays. Maybe in a few months, not anymore, but on medical blood decisions, you also are gonna have different views on that topic with your husband or wife who is still a Jehovah Witness. and they take every chance to rally the troops around them to love bomb your child, feed them with Jehovah Witness meals, fast food Jehovah meals. And it's a big challenge. So, what can you do? The number one thing I always do is it a belief or is it a fact? Because early on in the children's lives, you have to make them, clear that a fact is something else than a belief. Belief is something someone thinks and is convinced about it, that it's true. So they are convinced that their thoughts are true. That is a belief. But that belief cannot be tested, and a belief is something we disagree on as human beings. Facts are things that you can test, and most people will agree of those facts because you can see that proof. So the idea that the Bible was written by God tells us how to act, and how to act, that's a belief. There's no way I can test it. But the beliefs of the Jehovah Witnesses, they are convinced that that is true. If I drop a ball, it doesn't go up. It always falls down. That's a fact. That's something that is proven to be true. So even a belief and a fact is something the Jehovah Witnesses don't know about. Many adults don't know the difference between a fact and a belief, because they are believing so strongly in one thing and one thing only, that there is nothing else for them. That's it. My belief is true. I believe that Armageddon is coming in a few years. My belief is that there will be a paradise on earth. My belief is that in paradise we never get sick. My belief is that I have to say no to a blood transfusion. That's all beliefs, thought they are convinced of. So it's important that you see that difference. Why? Because they get mad if you don't agree with them on their beliefs. So we have to make sure to the child that the belief is something someone thinks it's right. But it doesn't need to be right, because then it's a fact. So the best thing you can do, the best thing I can tell you, is to make sure that he understands the difference between a belief and a fact. Take the example of the ball. It never goes up, it always goes down. Gravity, that's a fact. If I jump off this terrace here, I'm gonna hurt myself because it's high and I don't go up. I always fall down. So use that. And a belief is something you decide on what makes sense to you. And other people will always try to convince you to accept their beliefs. But I am the powerful one, because it's up to me if I take over that belief from somebody else. I decide that. And my problem is that I did that. I took, as a young boy, beliefs of other people as true for myself. But somebody can have a belief, but it doesn't mean that you have to comply or take over that idea. Sure, they want to convince you, and Jehovah Witnesses are convincing people. They are full of fire when it comes to their beliefs. But it's always up to you if you share and adopt that belief. So, best thing you can do, beliefs, facts, and work on the autonomy of that child. That he or she is in charge and can choose what to believe. Because you can change your belief when you shift your mindset. When you always question a belief before you adopt it. See for yourself if that belief makes sense to you. That's important. With facts, it doesn't matter if you believe it or not. So nothing changes except that you may realize that you might be wrong about some things. You thought that were facts, but that weren't facts. So, would God be good? If so, would he only love the people at the Kingdom Hall? Do you think he'd care about what religion you went for, or what kind of person you are most? So, the biggest thing you can do is to reinforce the difference between what they are selling, because Jehovah Witnesses are salespeople, what idea they are selling, and facts, and give your child permission to question it and notice it when it doesn't add up. That's something I never learned because I had 2 Jehovah Witness parents. So that was not an option for me. But you, as a non-Jehovah Witness, can learn him or her that he has the permission to question things. And that he notices things when it doesn't add up anymore. So start with critical thinking and shifting their mindsets in a young age. Then you can trust that child that he or she will make the right decisions. Some other things you can do is what I say is the best thing you can do after the beliefs and the fact things is that you give that child permission to have their own feelings. Because from a young age, Jehovah Witness children are learned to shove aside feelings. The belief system is the only thing. It's not about facts, it's not about critical thinking, it's not about questioning things. If you notice things, then you are gonna question things. No, it's not about that. So, let them know, hey, it's okay if you enjoy birthday or holidays with me. It doesn't mean you are a bad person or that you don't love your father or mother who is still Jehovah Witness. Because it's normal, and Jehovah Witnesses teaches that the children, that the kids are feeling guilty if they are doing things that is forbidden by Jehovah or whatever. So get that guilt away from them and give them permission to have feelings. Never badmouth the JW parent. Not saying, yeah, that's wrong or stupid from your father, whatever. But say, hey, I, as your mom, believe that we should celebrate birthdays. I believe birthdays are a way to celebrate life. You can choose what feels right for you. So at a young age, give them permission to choose for themselves. And if they are choosing for themselves, then they have less guilt, less anxiety, and all those things that's gonna add up in that backpack full of trauma and all those things you get from being in that cult. And teach them also at a young age critical thinking, and that emotionally they are safe with you. What do you think about that rule? If that child says something, oh, I'm not allowed to celebrate birthdays. What do you think about that rule? At a young age, they want to celebrate it. They see people celebrate it in their classroom, etc., their friends. So how do you feel about this rule? What do you think about this rule? How does it make you feel? And let that child speak. Because if the child feels safe enough that he or she can tell you everything without consequences, they are gonna notice the difference with the JW parent, where they are not allowed to express their feelings, because then they get that finger and they are bad and they have to study more and more ministry, and you have to pray for Jehovah for forgiveness and stuff like that. So there's already a shift going on, that they are leaning to that parent who let them be the child who expresses their feelings, and how they encourage that critical thinking of the child. The child will lean towards you because they feel safer at your place. And that's what a child wants, to feel safe. So also build a strong network around your child, a support network, because Jehovah Witnesses wants their children to be isolated from non-Jehovah Witnesses. But if your child has hobbies or friends or trusted adults outside of the JW community, you will help your children big time. So it prevents the isolation feeling. And the most important thing is, what Jehovah Witnesses never can do for your child, and you can, is show them unconditional love. And I promise you that will never be forgotten by your child. Leaving the faith is losing your family. Leaving the faith is losing your social network. Leaving the faith will be that you be destroyed in Armageddon. But reassure your child that no matter what they believe, you will be always there. That's unconditional love. If they want to be a Jehovah Witness, I still be there for you, my child, my son, my daughter. I will always support you. I will always be here. My door is always open. That's unconditional love. Your other ex-husband or wife will say, yeah, but if you leave the Jehovah Witness religion, I'm not gonna speak to you, you are dead to me and stuff like that. Children, where you do it the previous steps on, beliefs, facts, critical thinking, how does she or he feels about certain rules. If you initiate that process, if you light that fire inside them, that it's okay to feel, that it's okay to question things, that's okay to notice things that don't feel good, with the facts and the belief, plus the cherry on top, unconditional love, eventually, in the end, it will come right. You have to have a long, it's going to be a long process maybe, but never, never, never give up. Trust that inner gut. Trust your child with whatever you do. As much time spent together with your child. Not bad mouthing your JW ex-husband or wife, but show them how the world can be. Show them that there's no danger outside that community. Show them that it's okay to question things, to have an open conversation. If you have an open conversation and you can share anything with your children, and children feel safe enough to share things with you, and they are clever, they are more clever than adults, people. They know, hey, I feel safe with this parent and not that parent. That parent has conditions. I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do that. This parent loves me for who I am. Even if I have doubts about something, even if I do something they don't want me to do it, but they accept me. The door is always open. I can always go ask advice at my parents' house, but not at that parent's house, because there's the condition: you have to do this. You have to go to the congregation meeting. You have to do a ministry. You have to do whatever. So they are noticing the fear-based, guilt-based, conditional love from the Jehovah Witnesses with the unconditional love you as a parent can give them. And in the end, the child will always make the right decision. How much pressure or whatever they face, it will come right. So keep your head up, show your child unconditional love, that it's okay to question things, to notice things, to have feelings about certain things that are happening in their life. They are opening up to you and it will come right. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you are in this situation, if it's helpful, if you know someone who maybe is in this situation who can need this, share it with that somebody, because it's important that children make their own decision. I never felt, even when I baptized, I never felt it as my own decision. It was a logical thing to do without thinking it through about the consequences and stuff like that. They say, yeah, but it's your free choice to get baptized. But it wasn't feeling as a free choice. So how good would it be if we can give our children that piece of gold, that they really make their own choice? That someone can have a belief, but it doesn't mean that automatically they have to adopt that belief, but that they can look at it, feel about it, talk about something about it. Hey, that feels wrong. And that they are still worthy enough. That builds their self-trust, self-worth, and their personal growth. And I think that's what we need to want for our children. And not some robots who are just following orders, but a child who is authentic self and expressing his feelings and does what he or she wants to do because it felt right. Thank you guys for watching. We see each other on the next episode.